Thanks for the kind introduction, Dr. Schwarz. My name is Kirstin Kohler, and I'm heading a special place at our university, which is called InnoSpace. And I still don't see my slides. I hope I can fulfill the promise that Dr. Schwarz just made, that I can give you inspiration on how to innovate in coffee industry. I have to say that I'm not a coffee specialist, not at all. I'm a computer scientist by education and a biologist by education. And we at our university, in our lab, we handle all kind of innovations. So we are not like as specific on a domain like you are, and I feel like a little bit small after this impressive presentations from the morning, and because you're all such great coffee specialists. So I hope I can give you something as soon as I have my slides.
Yeah, we are.
Because I saw them already, so it works.
You see, this is a special moment. We like in the traditional Greek tragedy, we try to create more excitement. And this is a special part of it.
So I can tell you already, I have 60 slides with me, so I simply have to talk.
The other question for the technique is, or for the audience, can you see this, or is there too much light coming? I'm not sure. I feel a little bit blinded by the light, to be honest. Maybe.
But look, so I think I will start here, and please forgive me when I look at the right. Oh, no. Even that is not possible anymore. Okay, no, I don't see them yet, but I will, at least I see those, so I will give them some more minutes and start talking in the meantime.
You guys have no idea how long we trained this, and for you it seems like we don't have it under control, but this is a special program.
Okay. I hesitate to start. I don't have them here yet, but now I start with this. So who are we? Like I said, I'm heading a space which is called InnoSpace at our university, and I have a wonderful group of people working with me. And you can see them here. We are an interdisciplinary team, and I have one of my, I'm not trusting this anymore. I brought Christian today with me, and he will give the next talk. So I stay a little bit more like, hopefully inspiring theoretically, and he will go like deep into one specific innovation project, which we did together with Taiboon, which is also present here. So, now you know who we are, but why are we is much more important. We are at our university because we want to unleash the creative potential of our students by educating them to be inventive future makers and prepare them for the responsibilities and unforeseeable challenges of their lives. This is a quite long and complicated sentences, and I wish I could read it here and not there. And it has like some important points. One is that we want to make them responsible and also capable of changing the future. And I think you all kind of observe or feel like how many changes now we are here, thank you, we currently are faced with. So our environment kind of is challenging us a lot in the recent years with many things like climate change, viruses, and things like that that are kind of coming across. And we don't train students at the university in how to react with these kind of, or handle these huge huge problems we are facing, and that's what we want to bring to them, because we see that there's a lack in our current educational system. And how are we doing this? First of all, we bring real-world challenges in our lectures. This means we create interdisciplinary teams of students. You can see here one. A team of students, they worked for the automotive industry, so not for the coffee industry, and they get a challenge by a real-world sponsor, so like an industry person. In this case, it was Valeo, one of the biggest automotive sensor companies, and they challenged the students, how might we enhance the mobility experience of drivers in smart cities? And this is this is a really huge question. And I don't know the answer. We kind of go and start this journey of innovation together with the students at the beginning of an academic year, and they go for 9 months until they find out what could a solution be, and they have to show this solution. I don't go into details of that for now. But we also have real-world challenges from the coffee industry. So one that you might recognize, one of the guys in the pictures here, was given to us, and it was like, how might we enable end customers to configure their individual flavor profile as a key feature of an online coffee shop? I think that's something you can rely on, I guess. And we had a team of 3 students from Mannheim, 3 students from, and now it's coming back, 3 students from Finland, and they were given this challenge and had the task to find a solution for it. We had other real-world challenge from the coffee industry, which was how might we develop an automated control system for coffee roasting. And you all see this was during Corona times, which you can see by the faces. So we bring students in, we have interdisciplinary teams, we have real-world challenges, real sponsors, we don't know the answer, but we have more. We have a safe space at our university. And what does it mean? A safe space has 2 meanings in this respect. One is we have a space for experimentation in the sense of tables, workbenches, so that students can really build something and test it, so they can physically create experiments. But we also provide a psychological safe space. And whoever is in education, and I think we have some people from universities here knows that this is quite difficult at a university because we have to give grades. And how can you provide a safe space to allow testing all crazy ideas without giving them the feeling that if they fail, they get a bad grading? So this is something we try as well, or we do. And then we have another ingredient on this journey of innovation, which is a defined process. And this defined process is, here design thinking comes into play. This is design thinking. And what does it mean? We are giving the students methods at hand how to approach this really huge problem so that they can get methods every week or every second week, and they have to apply that method to move forward. At the beginning, they do not even know how this helps them to kind of reach the innovation or solve the problem. So what we teach indeed is like complex problem solving. And I hope, whatever I tell you now, there's something you can take in your own work practice, what we teach our students. So, is it relevant for you? I hope so, because I guess you are also faced with very complex problems in these times of change, because we have a lot of change. But what makes a complex problem complex? And this is a little bit academic. First of all, complexity is given by a huge number of variables in a system. So we all know, also forgive me that this is again Corona I'm using here, but this is something everyone understands, is we have distance between people. We have how old is the population, how long are the people ill, how many of them die? So did they have any kind of diseases? So a lot of variables that somehow describe the situation. And it's even worse, these variables are somehow interconnected. So we basically usually don't understand the full system of a complex problem. And also, it's very dynamic. So if we think about an intervention, it might be the moment we apply the intervention, the situation already changed. And yeah, unforeseeable things happen that we did not anticipate before. So this is already difficult enough. And then there's something else coming around, and it's man-made. It's, do you know, like Moore's law? Anyone knows? And it's somehow is responsible for the area of digitalization we are in. Because it means we are doubling the number of transistors every 2 years. And this is kind of speeding up digitalization, like the way we are facing it today. It's giving us new opportunities, but it's also, allows competition coming around and kind of, makes things unforeseeable, or all the discussion about ChatGPT, maybe not in coffee industry that I cannot judge, but in, I think, all other industries, this is quite disruptive currently. Okay, so the area of digital transformation, also a reason why we really should think about facing or looking for new practices, how to solve problems, how to deal with complexity. And if you look around in literature, we would like to understand first, what does it mean to have a complex problem? We find a very helpful framework called the Canavan framework from a guy called David Snowden. So I really recommend to kind of look further into this. I can't take all the 20 minutes to go in all to the details, but I will give you a rough understanding of this framework. Because the framework sorts challenges we are facing in different contexts, and they are defined by the nature of the relationship between cause and effect. Something that all the scientists here are very used to. We have cause and effect. And depending where your challenge is in these quadrants, you need a different way of acting with the challenges. And this is a point, as professionals, as humans, we have a tendency to assume that we are in a certain of these quadrants, and we assume that the methods we are using every day in our professional life, that they fit to tackle the complex problem or the problem we are facing. And unfortunately, this is not true. So let's start with easy things, like something we see. So simple problems. Simple problems are, also it might not seem simple if you want to get a loan for your house, you want to buy a house. It's really easy at a bank. They look like, what is your income, how big is the house, what is the value, and then they somehow decide what you get and what's the price. So this is simple. So someone senses the problem, it has a category that is recognized, and this defines the response, and you get your credit. But what about the other ones? So in the simple and in the complicated, that on the right side, we know the relationship between cause and effect, and on the left side, we don't know it. Very interesting is the difference between complicated and complex. And I had an example also from another discipline, and this morning I decided maybe it's easier to explain it with your examples, because I think I heard some of them this morning. So a really complicated problem is how to characterize the flavor profiles and health benefits of cascara. I think this is a quite complicated problem, but you have, good luck, expertise. So people with expertise can solve these problems. It's not fast, they have to put a lot of work and brain effort into it, but it could be solved with good practices. So this is probably the area where a lot of you are quite familiar to act. On the left side, a complex problem could be one: how to achieve a more sustainable coffee production for small local farmers. And why is this complex? Because there are many possibilities, something we could do, but yeah, we have no good practice. We don't know what could be a meaningful action. We have to emerge practices to make this happen. And how are we doing so? We are just making an experiment and see what happens afterwards, which means the cause and effect can only be deduced after we did something. And this is quite different way of acting. It doesn't make us feel very comfortable. I think politicians have to navigate in this area. And being here simply defines or requires a different mindset than we are usually used in a, let's say, scientific context on the right side. So the thing is, finally, it's about the mindset, and we have to be very aware whether the practices we are using really fit to the problem we are facing. And I wonder whether Dr. Schwarz is getting you all together that you are able to solve the complex problems on the left. I don't know. So it's a matter of mindset, but what is a mindset? I hate that word, I have to say. If somebody had told me 10 years ago I'm going to talk about mindset, I would have called, yeah, you are stupid. I think this is too weak for me. What is a mindset? A mindset represents a cognitive process activated in response to a given task or to a given problem. And it's not just picking a few pointers here and there. It really means seeing things in a different way. And this takes time. So neither my students nor other people that are currently looking to solve complex problems can easily do so by simply getting a new method. It really takes more or longer, more things to change the way you are thinking and the way you are approaching things. And I will give you some hints how this could be. One is challenge fixed thinking patterns. We all have a tendency to have a very fixed mind, and there are very famous people that came across with new models, like for example, Johannes Kepler, 1600, so really many years ago, that developed a new way of explaining the movement of our planet's system. And he was a great lateral thinker, which means he could connect things that were not related at all in the first or in the obvious way, and therefore could, came up with completely new solutions. So lateral thinking, which is supported by creativity methods, is something how you can come up with new solutions. Another very nice framework is from Carol Dweck. I'm not sure whether you heard about it. It's the framework about fixed mindset and growth mindset. And I also can really recommend to look one of her TED Talks. What she observed, and she did her first experiments or investigations with children, is if she was giving challenges to children, like for example puzzles with a certain difficulty, and the challenge was too high, so the puzzles were like for children of another age, she got two different responses from the children. Half of the children, or a certain amount of the children, gave up, didn't want to make the puzzle at all, And the other one was like asking, could you tell my mother to buy where we get these puzzles, because I want to kind of exercise this. And the conclusion was that there are people that have a fixed mindset and people that have a growth mindset. And for the people with a growth mindset, a challenge means a way to become smarter. And for the people with a fixed mindset, a challenge means something they could look stupid. So they rather would like to avoid that. The fixed mindset people kind of take challenges as something that is given, like it's already defined. Whereas the growth mindset people believe that this is something that gets better and better if you take more challenges. And without going in each of these kind of details, maybe you can think about yourself, like how do you behave when you get a challenge? Or, which is also quite interesting, how do you behave when you get criticism? Do you learn from it? Do you appreciate it? Or like, is it something that you rather ignore and think, no, this person doesn't know what I'm talking about, so you have maybe other good explanation why you shouldn't listen to what you just heard. Okay, so really only a short pointer. What we try to do is like because the good thing is you are not like you're not fixed or growth mindset, you can change this. So there are experiments that showed that you can kind of make people, change people behavior to a growth mindset behavior. So it's nothing that we have to take as given. And this is cool, I think. There's something we can do about it. And that's exactly what we try to do with our students. Another thing, and it's somehow related, is we want them to lose the fear of failure. I think there's obviously most people want to avoid failure. No one really likes to do it. But certain people are really good in preventing, and they are kind of overrating preventing failure, about that this is also a possibility to succeed. And in addition, and this is especially true for Germany, I don't know about other cultures you are coming from, usually it's punished to do a failure, especially in Germany. And also there are not many success stories, or it's not shared, like I fucked up, but then something good happened. So it's not cultural accepted in a way. And also this is something we want to change, and we do this by fostering iterations. So we really push the students to build something quite fast, make ideas tangible, measure, and then learn from it. It's like a way of learning from failure, and we accept that. Okay, and then also thinking optimistically. I'm now a little bit lost because I'm not sure whether the time here is still valid. Still fine, okay. Another thing, and this is just a few hints how we can deal with these challenges, is thinking optimistically. If you see a class, you know, there are these people, for some of them it's half full, for others it's half empty. And this is like a kind of framing in the head, whether you see a class half full or half empty. And if you try to see it rather half full instead of half empty, it's more likely that you kind of see opportunity in a certain situation. And there's something you might have heard about as well, and that's something, if I had more time with you, I would make this as an exercise, and maybe that would wake you up. It's called yes but and yes and exercise, and maybe you can do this afterwards. For example, if we would plan how to enable farmers to produce high quality cascara. You see, I kind of was really carefully listened this morning. You can, and you do this like in a German environment. Someone who would have been here this morning as well could say, yes, but these people, they don't have the machines they need. And then I would say, yeah, but they could try them in the sun. And then someone would say, yes, but it's moisture and very kind of humid in Malaysia anyway. So that won't work. And what happens if you have this kind of conversations, you can see like any kind of new and fresh idea is dying. And in Germany, we are very good in that. So yes, but, yeah, or I think usually you say no, but. So the but is always present. And these people, it's like the devil advocates often have a lot of kind of followers in the room. Everyone is jumping on, it's like this is the hero, the first one that has something against this new idea. And then that's an easy role, and the new idea is like pushed down. What we kind of educate in innovation is the yes and culture. That doesn't mean that this idea is really brilliant. I really have to train it by myself. I've said, oh God, what a bullshit. But yes, and I have tried to kind of work around what you don't like, yeah? Because in some, if you have 100 ideas, there might be one which is good. So it's not about staying there and kind of thinking whether there comes the enlightening moment. It's coming in discussions with other people. You're talking about complex things where everyone kind of inspires the other person with yes, and you get this kind of inspiration. And there's also research about that. So it's not only a feeling that this is not healthy, it is there's research. And interesting enough, this video works now. I'm also not going into the details here, but in Stanford they made research. Here you see a team that has to solve a problem, and and what they did, they observed these students in this situation of solving a problem and measured how often did they kind of build on others' ideas and how is this related to the quality of the solution. And you see that if you have an optimistic mindset in the room, you are more likely to end up with a good solution and also with an out-of-the-box solution. So you want me to go? I'm not done yet. Was this a hint that I should stop?
No, you get an extra now.
Okay, so this makes us create more ideas. I think I'm speeding up because I'm seeing that I'm kind of going over the ideas. Another very interesting concept, which is also related to this optimism, and it's reframing. So when we are getting questions, we kind of we learn to reframe them. And this is one of the examples where you understand what reframing means. So if I give you the task to connect all 9 dots, use only 4 lines, don't lift the pen after you start drawing. Do you have it? Still thinking? This is the solution. If you didn't find it, what was it that prevented you from finding it? It was like the box I was, but I didn't mention it. This is a frame you set by yourself. So there was an assumption you made, which I didn't give to you, likely. It was visible, yeah? So maybe a little bit tricky. So what we educate the students is the power of questions. Set the right frame. So is this really the question you want to ask, or should we kind of reframe it in order to be really able to answer it? And there's a nice example for that from Mannheim, but I switch this as well. I show you rather a reframed coffee challenge, so to stick in your domain. How might we enable end customers to configure their individual flavor profile as a key feature of an online coffee shop? You remember this was one of the questions to the students. And they reframed it after they learned about the users into how might we help customers improve their awareness of flavor in order to help them better express their flavor preferences. Because what it turned out, that they were not able to talk about flavors. So how could they pick flavors if they are not educated well enough? So this is a kind of reframing of the question that brings you then finally to the solution that might be different than the one you have expected at the beginning. And there are others, wrong direction, that reframed as well. We skip this as well. So now you still might wonder, she doesn't talk about design thinking, not at all. Design thinking is somehow the framework that allows us to kind of practice all these kind of new thinking methods because it gives us methods to exercise it. And innovation can be trained or exercised like you go to a fitness studio and become fitter, hopefully. There are people that are gifted and they don't need this kind of training. They are natural design thinkers, I would say. But a lot of people, benefit from these kind of exercises. And what design thinking does, you see it here in a typical picture of design thinking. It gives you a summary of methods that you can apply step by step in order to learn that. And there's one thing I did not mention so far that is really crucial in design thinking. It's that it's human-centered. So design thinking is a human-centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements of the business success. And this kind of phrase, put into a picture, looks like that. So we always start our project by understanding the desire of people and not by looking what is technically feasible, because I think basically everything is technically feasible. In the meantime, we simply have to look for the right technology. And then believing that this is something people really want. It's obvious that we might make money with it, but I'm sure the last speaker kind of can give you hints how to do this. Then finally, I'm not very good in making business, so I'm rather good in finding the desires of people. And how we are doing this? By empathizing with the users. And in the case of the examples I just gave to you, students were talking to people that are consuming coffee, or in the example of the roasting, with people that are into roasting. And they understood, for example, owners of small coffee shops, that they need a way to replicate the roasting profiles to save time, for example, or to enhance the coffee quality, but also that they have a fear of giving up their expertise if a roaster is able to reproduce it without them. So there's always different desires and fears with people that we really have to understand when coming up with new product ideas. And then one thing, and then I'm closing, is I mentioned that we have a space for experimentation, and that does mean the students have to build prototypes quite early, and they are not as sophisticated as you might have imagined at the moment I talked it. They are sometimes just made out of paper. Here for the flavor challenge, they made a kind of mood board where people could express what they want. And maybe this idea is shitty, but they could go out, talk with people, and learn about it. And then they know more about the coffee industry and about the challenge, because they know this is not the only prototype they have to build. They have to build more of them. And the first how we call them, low fidelity prototypes are just there to learn and to throw them away. That's what we even expect. But as projects evolve, there are more prototypes, all like, for example, here, they once were thinking about a sensor that you can put into the roaster that has the shape of a bean, so that you can really kind of measure the temperature that also the beans have. So this is the kind of thinking they have. And maybe this video is not running. Prototypes evolve in the fidelity, and here you see the prototype of the students that built a roaster that is automated control. They bought a hand roaster, they put in sensors, and they connected it to the software and were able to reproduce a given roast profile. See, it works. So, to sum it up, there is not the one answer to solve complex problems or the one answer to innovate the coffee industry. There are many hints. Design thinking is one. And I vote for going human-centered, start what is the user and what are his or her desires, cultivate a positive failure culture, accept the ambiguity. We call it our students learn to dance with ambiguity. Not very comfortable the first time, but you grow into that. Reframe problems, prototype to accelerate the learning, work in a team that has, if possible, different disciplines so that you can get a broader perspective on the problem, embrace these different perspectives and stay optimistic. And that's it from my side. I hope you found something that can help you to improve your business or your work practice. I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much. And despite the stress we were putting you in the beginning here, it is always diamonds are created under pressure. That's the difference between charcoal and diamonds. So, are there any questions to this presentation? Yes. The microphone is approaching.
Okay, so thank you so much. That was super inspiring, in fact. In one of your slides, I can't remember exactly the title, but there was a framework of analysis or whatever. It was, the first part was empathize. So could you just explain what you mean by empathize at the beginning of this chart?
Yeah,
thank you.
So I think you mean the design thinking process view. And what we do when we see, we get these question or challenge, how we call it, we analyze first who are the stakeholders for that question, and then we go out and try to understand these users. So we try to put ourselves into their shoes and learn as much as possible about the things they are doing, the things they like, the things they are their work practice, the things they fear, all the things they don't express, which is sometimes quite hard, so you need to get good interview skills or observation skills. There are a bunch of methods of how to empathize with the user. For example, we were once working with a diabetic challenge from Roche, and students measured their own blood sugar to understand what does it mean that you really have to measure this every day. So you can, depending on the challenge, you can do shadowing, so following someone, how they are doing their work, for example, in a hospital or in a coffee roaster. You can go as close to the user to learn as much about them. And empathy is not easy to learn. So also some skill to build.
It's a little bit, if I may interrupt, like what we do from time to time when we take people from the coffee industry to coffee farms, and I push them one day to pick coffee, be with coffee pickers. And our Brazilian friends always say, "Ah, no, no pode, like we can't do this. These guys are not made to work a whole day." But it's interesting, and they have a complete other perspective. And discussions on coffee prices are absolutely changing in that evening over 1 or 2 glasses of cachaça, trust me.
Yeah. It also helps you to kind of see what kind of assumptions you had that were completely wrong, because you're always thinking from your world, like everything is like it is in your world, but it isn't. I kind of, even you detected, oh no, we put sugar before we roast. I didn't know that. I think they're really interesting. Yeah, so these are a lot of knowledge that you get only when you are at the location, and with the people you are working for, or kind of for whom you want to solve the problems.
One more question? Okay, then thank you again so much for your presentation.